The human fleet arrived at Outpost Kepler 7 in a flash of blue light. 12 ships dropped out of hyperspace and took positions around the mining colony. Captain Vellamora of the Aquan Defense Fleet watched them through her viewport. She did not know what to think. The human ships were small. They had strange angles and sharp edges. They looked nothing like the elegant curves of proper warships. Vellamora had seen cargo haulers that looked more impressive. Are those really warships? Her second officer asked. He sounded doubtful. The council says they are, Vellamora replied. She was not convinced either. Open a channel to the human commander. Commander Daewon's face appeared on her screen. Captain Vellamora, thank you for waiting. We are ready to begin. Commander, the Vorath fleet will arrive in less than an hour. 3 dreadnoughts and 24 support ships. We should form a defensive line around the colony. No, Daewon said simply. Vellamora blinked. No, we will not form a defensive line. Keep your ships near the colony. Protect the civilians. Let us handle the Vorath. Before Vellamora could argue, the human ships began moving. They scattered in different directions. Some went toward the system's sun, others headed for the asteroid belt. 2 ships went in completely opposite directions. What are they doing? The second officer asked. They are breaking formation. They are leaving us exposed. Only one human remained calm. Bora, a tactical coordinator who had been studying Earth, spoke quietly. Wait, just wait and watch. The Vorath fleet arrived exactly on schedule. 3 massive dreadnoughts emerged from hyperspace, each one as large as a small moon. Around them, support ships formed a perfect attack formation. They moved like a machine, precise and unstoppable. War Master Krelnak commanded the Vorath fleet from his flagship. He looked at his tactical display and saw the scattered human ships. He made a sound that might have been laughter. The humans are fleeing, he told his officers. They saw our fleet and panicked. Pursue and destroy them. Show the council what happens when primitives try to fight the Vorath. The Vorath fleet split up to chase the human ships. This was standard tactics. Divide and conquer. The 3 dreadnoughts went in different directions, each one following a group of human vessels. Krelnak followed the human flagship toward the sun. Foolish, he said. They are trapping themselves. The sun's gravity will slow them down. But as his dreadnought entered the inner system, something strange happened. His sensors detected multiple objects moving at incredible speeds. Before he could react, the first impact hit. A chunk of metal no bigger than a small vehicle struck his dreadnought's hull. It was moving at nearly the speed of light. The impact released more energy than a nuclear bomb. The ship's shields, designed to stop energy weapons, did nothing against solid matter moving that fast. More impacts followed. Engineer Minho had placed kinetic weapons throughout the inner system, using the sun's gravity to accelerate them. They were simple weapons, just metal and velocity, but they tore through Vorath armor like paper. Shield generators down, a Vorath officer reported. Hull breaches on multiple decks. Krelnak tried to turn his ship around, but the human vessels were already attacking. Small fighters, piloted by Jiwoo and others, darted in and out. They moved in patterns the Vorath had never seen before. They rolled and spun and dove like birds, not like spacecraft. Our targeting systems cannot lock on, another officer said. They are moving too unpredictably. In the asteroid belt, the second Vorath dreadnought was having similar problems. Human ships were using the rocks as cover and weapons. They pushed asteroids into collision courses. They hid behind debris and struck without warning. The Vorath crews trained for open space combat did not know how to respond. The third dreadnought reported even stranger problems. Their communication systems were filled with noise, loud, aggressive sounds that made no sense. It was human music, broadcast by Officer Yoon Seo. The harsh rhythms and heavy beats disrupted Vorath coordination. Worse, their sensors were showing false readings. Officer Hee Jin had hacked into their systems somehow. The Vorath saw human ships that were not there. They fired at ghosts while real human vessels attacked from different angles. Back at the mining colony, Captain Vellamora watched in shock. The Vorath fleet, which had seemed unstoppable, was falling apart. The massive dreadnoughts were taking damage from every direction. The support ships were scattered and confused. How are they doing this? Her second officer whispered. Bora smiled. They are fighting like humans, not like us. They do not follow the rules of honorable combat. They use tricks and traps. They attack from unexpected angles. They make the enemy confused and afraid. 47 minutes after the battle began, it was over. The first Vorath dreadnought exploded in a ball of plasma. The second one lost power and began drifting. The third one's crew abandoned ship, fleeing in escape pods. The surviving Vorath support ships retreated into hyperspace. They did not even try to regroup. They just ran. The human fleet regrouped near the colony. Their ships had some damage, but nothing serious. They had defeated a force 5 times their size with minimal losses. Commander Daewon's face appeared on Velmora's screen again. "The colony is secure, Captain. You can begin evacuation if needed, or repairs if you prefer to stay." Velmora could not speak for a moment. Finally, she found her voice. "Commander, that was... I have never seen anything like that. We fight to win," Daewon said simply. "Not to look good, not to follow tradition, just to win." Bora was already composing her report to the council. She knew this battle would change everything. The humans had proven they were not primitives. They were warriors, and they fought in ways the galaxy had forgotten or never learned. News of the battle spread quickly. Within hours, every species in the galaxy knew what had happened at Outpost Kepler 7. 12 human ships had destroyed 3 Vorath dreadnoughts. The impossible had become real. On the Vorath homeworld, military commanders studied the battle recordings. They watched in silence as their supposedly invincible fleet was torn apart by tactics they had never encountered. Supreme Overlord Thrak-Kor watched the recordings 3 times. Then he spoke. "Find out everything about these humans. Where they come from. How they think. What they fear," he paused. "And prepare for war, real war. Because these creatures do not fight like civilized beings. They fight like savages, and savages are dangerous." The galaxy held its breath. Humanity had entered the war, and the first battle had gone to them. But everyone knew this was just the beginning. The real test was still to come. The council chamber was full of noise and fear. Ambassador Telkor stood at the center platform, his feathers turning gray with stress. Around him, representatives from 40 different alien species argued and shouted. The war was going badly. Everyone knew it. 3 more systems fell last week, Telkor said. His voice was tired. The Vorath destroyed everything. They took no prisoners. They showed no mercy. The chamber went quiet for a moment. Everyone remembered the videos from the fallen worlds. Cities burning, ships exploding, millions dead. The Vorath were winning, and no one knew how to stop them. Counselor Brenti, whose body was made of living crystal, spoke next. "Perhaps we should consider surrender. We have lost so much already. How much more can we lose?" More arguing followed. Some agreed with Brenti. Others said they would rather die than surrender. But no one had a plan. No one had hope. The Vorath were too strong, too brutal, too organized. Then the doors opened. Everyone turned to look. 3 figures walked into the chamber. They were bipedal like many species, but different somehow. They walked with purpose. They wore strange uniforms, dark blue with silver markings. Their faces were smooth, with small noses and forward-facing eyes. "Who are they?" Someone whispered. "Humans," Telkor said quietly. "From Earth." The lead human stopped at the center platform. He was tall with dark hair and calm eyes. He looked around the chamber without fear. Behind him, a female officer carried a data device and a male scientist adjusted his glasses. "I am Commander Daewon," the human said. His voice was clear and strong. "This is Officer Hyejin and Advisor Tae Yang. We come from Earth." "Earth?" Brenti's crystals flickered with confusion. "That primitive world? You barely have space travel. Why are you here?" Daewon smiled slightly. It was not a happy smile. "We have been watching your war for 6 months. We studied your battles. We analyzed your tactics. We examined your enemy." He paused. "We can help you win." Laughter erupted in the chamber. Several species made sounds of disbelief. One ambassador slapped his tentacle against his desk in amusement. "You?" Telkor said, trying to be polite. "You discovered faster than light travel only 2 years ago. We have been fighting this war for 3 centuries. What could you possibly teach us?" Hyejin stepped forward. She activated her data device and holographic images filled the air above the platform. Battle scenes appeared, showing Vorath ships attacking Council fleets. Red lines traced movements and patterns. "The Vorath use the same tactics every time," Hyejin said. Her voice was calm and professional. "They rely on overwhelming force. They expect you to fight honorably. They know you will protect civilians. They use these things against you." The images changed. Now they showed weak points in Vorath formations, gaps in their attack patterns, predictable behaviors. "You fight with honor," Daewon said. "That is admirable. But the Vorath do not care about honor. They care about winning. And right now they are winning because you refuse to adapt." The laughter had stopped. The council members leaned forward, studying the holograms. Taeyang added more data showing simulations of different battle strategies. "This is interesting," Brenti admitted. "But theory is not the same as practice. How do we know your methods will work?" "Test us," Daewon said simply. "Test you how?" Telcor asked. "Give us a battle, a real one. Let us show you what humans can do." The council members looked at each other. Silent communications passed between them through their various technologies and telepathic links. Finally, Telcor spoke. "There is a mining colony under siege. Outpost Kepler 7. The Vorath are attacking it now. Our forces are barely holding. If the outpost falls, we lose access to vital resources." He looked at Daewon.
"Can you save it?"
"We can," Daewon said. "Very well. You will take 12 ships. That is all we can spare. If you succeed, we will listen to your proposals. If you fail," Telcor's feathers drooped. "If you fail, you will return to Earth and never involve yourselves in galactic affairs again." "Agreed," Daewon said. He looked at Heejin and Taeyang. Both nodded. The three humans turned and walked out of the chamber. As the doors closed behind them, the council chamber erupted in discussion again. Some thought the humans were fools. Others thought they were brave. A few wondered if maybe, just maybe, these strange newcomers might actually have a chance. Telcor watched the closed doors. "I hope they know what they are doing," he said to no one in particular. Brenti's crystals pulsed with an emotion close to pity. They are about to face 3 Vorath dreadnoughts with only 12 small ships. They do not understand what they have agreed to. This will be a massacre. But Telcor had seen something in Commander Daewon's eyes, something that made him unsure. It was not fear. It was not bravado. It was confidence. Quiet, absolute confidence. In the corridor outside, Heejin looked at Daewon. 12 ships against a Vorath siege fleet. They think we are crazy. Let them think that, Daewon replied. We will show them what crazy looks like. Taeyang smiled behind his glasses. The Vorath expect honor and predictable tactics. They have never fought humans before. They do not know our history. They do not know what we are capable of when we fight for survival. The 3 humans walked toward the docking bay where their ships waited. Behind them, the galaxy's oldest civilizations debated and worried. Ahead of them, the Vorath prepared for what they thought would be an easy victory. Neither the Council nor the Vorath understood yet what was about to happen. Humanity was entering the war, and nothing would ever be the same. Hayun's ship burst into Earth's solar system with its engines nearly burned out. She had pushed her vessel beyond its limits to get here first. Her communication systems came alive immediately. This is Scout Hayun to Earth Defense Command. Emergency. Vorath fleet incoming. 200 ships. Maybe more. Estimated arrival in 48 hours. At Earth Defense Command, Commander Daewon and strategist Su Jin stared at the tactical display. 200 Vorath warships. It was the largest invasion force in a generation. An Earth fleet was scattered across a dozen systems. How many ships can we recall in 48 hours? Daewon asked. Su Jin worked the calculations. Her face went pale. Maybe 30. The rest are too far away. They would not arrive in time. 30 ships against 200, Daewon said quietly. What about the orbital platforms? Operational. But they are not designed for a fleet this size. They will help, but not enough. The Council offered to evacuate Earth's population. Ships arrived within hours, ready to carry billions of humans to safety. But President Lee Ji-woo refused. We do not abandon our home, she said firmly. We never have. We never will. Our ancestors survived ice ages and plagues and wars. We will survive this too. But evacuation of a different kind began. Every piece of human knowledge, every work of art, every scientific discovery was uploaded to data cores. These cores were sent to dozens of safe locations across the galaxy. If Earth fell, humanity's legacy would survive. We are not planning our funeral, Daewon told his staff. We are planning their funeral. Get me Defense Coordinator Insu. Insu arrived within minutes. He was in charge of Earth's defensive systems. I have been working on contingency plans, he said. Secret weapons, things we hoped we would never need to use. Show me everything, Day-1 ordered. The plans were extreme. Railguns hidden on Mars, missile batteries buried under the moon's surface, asteroids in the belt that had been fitted, with engines and warheads ready to be used as massive kinetic weapons. Earth's entire solar system had been turned into a fortress. Activate everything, Day-1 said. If they want Earth, they will pay for every meter. On Luna Base, Medical Officer Haiwan prepared for casualties. She knew the hospital would be overwhelmed. Every bed was ready. Every supply was stocked. She had even set up treatment areas for Vorath prisoners if there were any. Humans would not abandon their principles, even in war. 48 hours passed too quickly. When the Vorath fleet arrived, the sky above Earth filled with enemy ships. 200 massive warships emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation. They looked unstoppable. Supreme Overlord Thrakakor surveyed Earth from his command ship. It was a beautiful world, blue and green and alive. Soon it would be ash. All ships, begin the attack, he ordered. The Vorath fleet moved forward, and immediately the solar system struck back. Railguns on Mars opened fire. Solid metal slugs accelerated to incredible speeds crossed the void in minutes. Several Vorath ships exploded before they realized they were under attack. The moon's surface opened up, launching thousands of missiles. Where are these weapons coming from? A Vorath officer shouted. Our intelligence said Earth had minimal defenses. The humans lied, Thrakakor said coldly. They hid their true strength. Clever, but not enough. Continue the attack. The human fleet, 30 ships led by veterans like Seong-ho, met the Vorath in open space. They were outnumbered nearly 7-1, but they fought with everything they had. Civilian freighters, hastily armed by volunteers, joined the battle as suicide drones. Seong-ho piloted his fighter through impossible maneuvers. He was one of the best pilots humanity had, and he knew this might be his last battle. All fighters, target their command ships. Ignore everything else. We take out their leaders. Civilian freighter piloted by an old cargo hauler named Kaite lined up on a Vorath carrier. His ship was already damaged, burning and losing air. For Earth, he transmitted calmly, before ramming his ship into the carrier at full speed. The explosion destroyed both vessels. On Luna Base, Haiwan worked frantically as wounded began arriving. Human and alien alike. Some council ships had arrived to help, and their crews needed treatment too. She did not care who they were. Everyone got help. That was the human way. But the Vorath numbers were too great. Slowly, inevitably, they pushed through the defenses. They were getting closer to Earth. Orbital platforms exploded one by one. Human ships fell. The hidden weapons were running out of ammunition. Captain Dong-hyun commanded the flagship Busan's Pride. His ship was crippled, engines failing, shields down, but he was close to Thrakakor's command ship. Very close. Sir, we should abandon ship, his second officer said urgently. We can evacuate to the rescue vessels. Dong-hyun looked at the tactical display. His ship could not fight anymore, but it could still move. It could still make a difference. He thought of his son Jae-hyun safely at the academy. He thought of all the children on Earth who deserved a future. Evacuate the crew, he ordered. I am staying. Captain, no. That is an order, Dong-hyun said firmly. When the crew had evacuated, he sat alone on the bridge. He sent one final transmission. For every human who ever looked at the stars and dreamed. For every child who will look up tomorrow. For Earth. He aimed the Busan's Pride at Thrakakor's flagship and engaged the engines. The crippled ship accelerated, unable to be stopped. Vorath weapons fired, but too late. The collision was massive. Thrakakor had one moment to understand what was happening. Then his flagship exploded, taking him and dozens of nearby vessels with it. The supreme overlord of the Vorath was dead. The Vorath fleet wavered. Their command structure was shattered. Ships stopped coordinating. Some tried to continue the attack. Others hesitated. Confusion spread through their ranks, and in that moment of confusion, the cavalry arrived. Hyperspace ruptures filled the sky. Ship after ship emerged, human vessels that had raced across the galaxy, alien fleets from every species that humans had trained and fought alongside. The Kryn warriors, the Aquan defenders, even the scholarly pacifists of Academia Prime had sent support ships. Admiral Kyung-Soo's voice boomed across all frequencies. All Allied forces attack formation. Show them what we learned. Show them we stand together. The combined fleet hit the Vorath from all sides. Human tactics, alien strength, fighting as one. The confused Vorath forces, already demoralized by losing their leader, could not withstand the assault. Some Vorath ships tried to fight. Most retreated. The great invasion fleet that had come to destroy Earth was broken. They fled into hyperspace, defeated. Earth was saved, battered, scarred, but standing. On the surface, people looked up at the sky and saw the debris of the battle. They saw victory. They saw survival. In Earth Defense Command, Daiwan allowed himself to sit down. Su Jin was crying quietly. Around them, the staff cheered and hugged. They had done the impossible. But Daiwan thought of Captain Dong Hyun and all the others who had not survived. Victory had a price. It always did. The galaxy had watched the Battle of Earth. They had seen humanity defend its homeworld against impossible odds. They had seen the Allies arrive. They had seen unity and sacrifice and courage. The war was not over, but everyone knew it soon would be. The Vorath had lost their supreme overlord. They had lost their greatest fleet. Most importantly, they had lost their belief in their own invincibility. Humanity had joined the battle, and the galaxy would never be the same. The months after the Battle of Earth changed everything. The Vorath Dominion, having lost their supreme overlord and their greatest fleet, faced chaos from within. Conquered worlds that had been silent for generations found their courage. Rebellions began across Vorath territory. The Council forces, now fighting with human tactics and coordination, pushed forward. Every battle brought victory. The Vorath were retreating on all fronts. The war that had lasted 300 years was finally ending. In the Galactic Council chambers, things were different too. A new seat had been added. A human seat. Counselor Jia sat there representing Earth and all humanity. She was the first human to join the Council permanently. The Council has a proposal, Ambassador Telcor said. His feathers were bright now, not gray with stress. We wish to restructure our entire defense system, and we want humans to lead it. Admiral Kyung-Soo, who had been watching the proceedings, stood. I accept on one condition. This is not a human military. This is a galactic military. Every species contributes. Every species has a voice. We fight together or we do not fight at all. The Council agreed. Kyung-Soo became the first Supreme Commander of Allied forces. Under his leadership, the old ways were left behind. New training academies opened. New strategies were taught. The galaxy learned to adapt, just like humans had taught them. Within a year, the Vorath requested peace negotiations. They had no choice. Their empire was crumbling. Their military was defeated. Their leaders were desperate. The peace conference was held on neutral ground. Vorath commanders were brought before the Council, expecting punishment. Some Council members wanted execution. Others wanted imprisonment. The debate was fierce. Then diplomat Seo Jun stepped forward. She was young for a diplomat, but she had studied human history carefully. She knew that peace built on revenge never lasted. You fought for your people, she told the Vorath commanders. You believed you were doing what was right. We fought for our people too. We all did terrible things in this war. All of us have blood on our hands. The Council chamber went silent. The Vorath commanders looked confused. This was not what they expected. We offer you a choice, Seo Jun continued. You can choose more war, more death, more hatred, or you can choose peace. Real peace, where yesterday's enemies become tomorrow's allies. It was controversial. Many species had suffered under Vorath rule. They wanted justice, but Seo Jun reminded them of something important. Justice without mercy is revenge, and revenge is just another war waiting to happen. The peace treaty was signed. The Vorath Dominion would become smaller, losing their conquered territories. Those worlds would be free, but the Vorath themselves would not be destroyed. They would be given a chance to rebuild, to change, to become something better. Not everyone was happy with this decision, but it held, And slowly, surprisingly, it began to work. Former Vorath soldiers joined the new Allied forces. They brought their knowledge and their strength. They learned new ways of thinking. At the Galactic Defense Academy, a new generation was training. Young Officer Jae Hyun, son of the fallen Captain Dong Hyun, stood in formation with cadets from 40 different species. Humans, Kryn, Aquans, Luminar, even a few Vorath. You come from different worlds, their instructor told them. Different cultures, different histories. Some of your peoples were enemies not long ago. But here you are all the same. You are defenders. You are protectors. You are the future. Jae Hyun looked at the Vorath cadet next to him. His father had died fighting the Vorath, but his father had also died so that there could be peace. Hating this young Vorath would dishonor that sacrifice. Partner up for exercises, the instructor ordered. Jae Hyun turned to the Vorath. Partners? He asked. The Vorath hesitated, then nodded. Partners. In research facilities across the galaxy, scientist Da-un worked with alien colleagues. They were developing new technologies, combining human innovation with galactic knowledge, medical advances, communication systems, propulsion technologies that would let ships travel farther and faster. Before the war, we would never have shared this knowledge, one alien scientist admitted. We kept our secrets. We trusted no one. The war taught us something, Da-un replied. We are stronger together. Every species has something unique to offer. When we combine our strengths, we can do anything. On Earth, life was slowly returning to normal. The orbital platforms were being rebuilt. The cities damaged in the battle were being repaired. But Earth was different now. It was no longer an isolated world. It was part of something larger. Commander Dae-won had retired from active duty. He taught at Earth's military academy now, training new officers. He stood before a class of young cadets and told them about the war. We did not ask for war, he said. We did not seek it. But when it found us, we did what humans have always done. We adapted, we fought, we survived. And when we won, we chose mercy over revenge. A cadet raised her hand. Sir, they say we changed the galaxy. Is that true? Dae-won smiled. The galaxy changed itself. We just showed them it was possible. We showed them that old ways are not always the best ways. That survival requires flexibility. That strength includes knowing when to fight and when to forgive. Now it is your turn, he continued. Your generation will not fight a great war. You will build a great peace. That is harder in some ways, but it is more important. On Nexus Prime, where the Galactic Council met, a monument was unveiled. It stood in the central plaza where everyone could see it. The monument showed figures from different species standing together. Humans, Kryn, Aquans, Luminar, and yes, even Vorath. The inscription was written in every galactic language. It said, they taught us that honor without flexibility leads to defeat, that compassion without strength leads to destruction, that the greatest victory is not in battle, but in the peace that follows. May we never forget. Ambassador Telkor stood before the monument with Counselor Jia. They had both changed since that first meeting in the council chambers. They had both learned and grown. I was wrong about your people, Telkor admitted. When you first walked into the council, I thought you were primitives. Arrogant primitives, Jia smiled. We were arrogant, but we were also desperate. We saw the galaxy destroying itself and we knew we had to try to help, even if no one wanted our help. You did more than help, Telkor said. You saved us. Not just from the Vorath, but from ourselves. We had become rigid, set in our ways, unable to change. You showed us that change is not weakness, it is survival. Ships from hundreds of worlds passed overhead, traveling freely through space that had once been a battlefield. Trade routes that had been closed for centuries were open again. Cultures that had been isolated were meeting and mixing. The galaxy was not perfect. There were still problems, still conflicts, still disagreements. But they were handled differently now. With communication, with negotiation, with the understanding that working together was always better than fighting alone. On Earth, an old woman looked up at the night sky. She had lived through the war. She had seen the Vorath ships fill the sky. She had hidden in shelters while battles raged overhead. But she had also seen the victory. She had seen humanity take its place among the stars. Her granddaughter stood beside her, looking up at the same sky. Grandmother, tell me about the war, the girl asked. The old woman thought for a moment. The war was terrible, she said. Many people died. Many brave people who fought to protect us. But the war also showed us something important. What did it show us? That humans are survivors. That we adapt to anything. That we never give up, even when things seem impossible. She smiled and ruffled her granddaughter's hair, and that even in the darkest times we remember to be human, to help others, to show mercy, to build rather than destroy. The girl looked at the stars. They seemed different now, knowing that humans lived among them, knowing that Earth was no longer alone. Will there be another war, grandmother? Maybe, the old woman said honestly. The galaxy is a big place. There will always be conflicts. But now we know how to handle them. Now we have friends out there, allies, partners. Far away on the edge of known space, a new colony was being established. Humans and aliens worked side by side, building homes and farms and schools. Children from different species played together, learning each other's languages and games. This was the real victory. Not the battles won or the enemies defeated, but the peace that followed, the cooperation, the friendship, the understanding that the galaxy was big enough for everyone. The galaxy no longer held its breath in fear. It breathed freely with hope for the future. Humanity had joined the dance of civilizations among the stars, and in joining they had changed the dance itself, not through conquest, not through dominance, but through courage, adaptation, and the very human belief that even the darkest night eventually gives way to dawn. The story of humanity's entrance into galactic society would be told for generations. How a young species, barely able to reach the stars, had changed the course of history. How they had taught ancient civilizations that survival required more than tradition and honor. It required flexibility, innovation, the courage to do what was necessary, and the wisdom to show mercy when victory was won. And somewhere, in every human heart, was the knowledge that their journey was just beginning. The galaxy was vast. The Galactic Council met again, but everything was different now. The chamber that had been full of despair was now buzzing with careful hope. Representatives looked at the humans with new eyes. These were not primitives. These were allies they desperately needed. Admiral Kyung-Soo stood before the council. He was older than Daewon, with gray hair and tired eyes, but his voice was strong. Behind him, a massive holographic display showed the entire war theater. "You have been fighting this war for 300 years, Kyung-Soo said. You have won some battles. You have lost more, but you have never had a plan to actually win the war. You have only been trying to survive." Some council members shifted uncomfortably. It was true, but hearing it said so plainly was difficult. "We have studied your entire military history," Kyung-Soo continued. "Every battle, every strategy, and we have identified your problem." He pointed at the display. "You fight honorably. You follow rules. You try to minimize casualties. These are good things in peace. But in war against an enemy like the Vorath, they are weaknesses. Are you saying we should become like them?" Counselor Brenty asked. "Should we abandon our principles?" "No," Kyung-Soo said. "Keep your principles, but learn to be flexible. Learn to adapt. Learn to do what is necessary, not just what is comfortable." The display changed, showing a timeline extending years into the future. Battle plans, resource allocations, training schedules. It was comprehensive and detailed. "This is our proposal," Kyung-Soo said. "Let us train your forces. Let us share our tactics. Let us fight together. And in 3 years, maybe less, we can end this war." The council voted. It was unanimous. Humanity would help lead the war effort. Within weeks, human advisors were everywhere. Sergeant Young Jae arrived on the Kryn homeworld. The Kryn were proud warriors famous for their honor in combat. They did not like being told they needed training. "We have fought for 10,000 years, the Kryn commander said stiffly. "What can you teach us?" Young Jae smiled. "How to win dirty." He set up a training exercise. Half the Kryn soldiers would defend a position. The other half would attack using human tactics. The defending Kryn expected a frontal assault. That was the honorable way. Instead, Young Jae had the attackers use disguises, false retreats, and ambushes. The defenders were overrun in minutes. That was not fair, the Kryn commander protested. "No," Young Jae agreed. "It was not fair. But you are alive. In a real battle, fair gets you killed." The Kryn were quiet. Then slowly they began to understand. On Academia Prime, Dr. Yoon-ji worked with scholars who had never held weapons. They were pacifists dedicated to knowledge and peace. But the war had reached even them. "I do not want to learn violence," one scholar said. "It goes against everything I believe." "I understand," Yunji said gently. "But knowing about violence is not the same as being violent. If you understand how battles work, you can help plan defenses. You can save lives without taking them." She taught them strategy and logistics. How supplies moved, how information flowed, how small decisions could change the outcome of entire campaigns. The scholars, who loved learning, absorbed it all. Marine Officer Jun-ho had the hardest job. He was training mixed species units to work together. Aliens who had barely met before now had to fight as one team. "You are too slow," he told a Luminar soldier made of crystal. "You need to move faster." "My biology does not permit rapid movement," the soldier replied stiffly. "Then do not be in front," Jun-ho said. "Use your natural armor to hold positions. Let the faster species move around you. Everyone has strengths. Everyone has weaknesses. The trick is to use both." Slowly, the mixed units began to function. Not perfectly, but better than before. The first major test came at Sigma Station. It was a strategic location that had changed hands 3 times during the war. The Vorath held it now, and the Council wanted it back. Captain Taman led the attack. His fleet was half human ships and half alien vessels. They did not charge directly at the station like previous attacks. Instead, they used the new tactics. Engineer Nari had created new weapons from civilian technology. Mining lasers modified for combat. Cargo haulers turned into missile platforms. The Vorath defenders were confused by attacks coming from unexpected sources. The alien crews, trained by humans, did not fight the way they used to. They used hit-and-run tactics. They targeted command ships first. They communicated constantly, adapting to every Vorath move. The battle lasted 6 hours. At the end, Sigma Station was back in Council hands. For the first time in decades, they had retaken lost territory. News of the victory spread. More battles followed. Not all were victories, but the tide was turning. The Vorath were no longer advancing everywhere. They were being pushed back. But deep in Vorath space, Supreme Overlord Thrakkor was not idle. He studied the reports carefully. He saw the human tactics being used against his forces. He understood the threat. "These humans are the key," he told his war council. "Remove them and the council forces will fall back into their old patterns. They will become predictable again." "How do we remove them?" one of his generals asked. Thrakkor looked at a star map. One small system glowed on the display. Earth. "We find their homeworld," he said slowly, "and we destroy it. Without their home, without their families, the human warriors will lose their will to fight. That will require a massive fleet," another general noted. "We would have to pull ships from every front." "Then do it," Thrakkor ordered. "Gather 200 ships, our best crews, our most powerful weapons. We will strike at Earth and end the human threat once and for all." Plans were made in secret. Ships were gathered from across the Vorath Empire. No one in the council suspected what was coming. The galaxy was celebrating its victories, unaware of the massive danger approaching Earth. Only one person had any warning. Scout pilot Hyun was patrolling the outer reaches of council space when her sensors detected something unusual. A massive fleet moving in formation. Too many ships to be a normal patrol. She tracked them carefully, staying hidden, and when she saw their heading, her blood went cold. They were heading toward Earth. Hyun immediately sent out a warning on all human frequencies. Then she set course for Earth, pushing her ship to maximum speed. She had to get there first. She had to warn them. Because if she failed, humanity's homeworld would face the largest Vorath invasion force ever assembled.